month's December 16th, 2022 version. Ask Your Herb Doctor on KMUD Galberville 91.1 FM. This month's very special show is a dedication and a tribute to the life and work of Dr. Ray Peat, who sadly passed away on Thanksgiving Day last month. So, November 24th, 2022. Callers are encouraged to call and express their gratitude. The lines will be open soon, and it's being live streamed on youtube.com/Western Botanical Medicine. My name's Andrew Murray.
My name's Sarah Johannesson Murray.
We're both licensed medical herbalists who consult with clients with a wide range of conditions, and our website is www.westernbotanicalmedicine.com. You can visit our site to see a list of our organic herb tinctures, and our contact details are posted. Alternatively, we can be reached on our toll-free number, 1-888-WBM-HERB. We're very excited to announce the launch of our Western Botanical Medicine YouTube channel, where you'll be able to listen to our Ask Your Herb Doctor shows as we continue to edit and upload them. You can find our channel by searching Western Botanical Medicine in the search bar on YouTube. And we also want to remind listeners that the show's being live streamed on YouTube now. We've set up a Western Botanical Medicine Twitter account. The handle is @WBMHerb, and we'll be posting any future news regarding the family's efforts to preserve Raymond Peat's published and unpublished works for generations to come on our Twitter page. So please be patient and stay connected with us on Twitter. Links to both our Twitter and YouTube channel are also on our website. And that again is www.westernbotanicalmedicine.com. Sorry. Okay, we believe that Ray Peat was one of the most brilliant minds. One of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century, and it was an honor to meet Raymond. And we met him several times and spoke to him countless times on the phone regularly over the last 15 years.
I first contacted Ray Peat in December 2007 after I was told about his amazing work from his friend Sharon Bartu, who Ray Peat had helped with her breast cancer 20 years prior in the 1980s. She was 70 at the time, and she said, "When I was 50, I had breast cancer, and Dr. Peat saved my life." And I thought, wow, I got to check this guy out. So not only had Raymond helped her recover from her breast cancer, he also helped Sharon's daughter, who had cirrhosis of the liver. Sharon's daughter recovered from an otherwise incurable disease, cirrhosis, and went on to get married and start a family. I first emailed Ray asking if he would be willing to offer his nutritional and supplement advice for some of my clients, or some of Andrew's and my clients we were seeing. And he responded by saying that he would be happy to consult with Andrew and I on their behalf. And so began our professional and personal relationship with Dr. Raymond Peat. I feel so fortunate that I came into contact with Dr. Peat at the young age of 29 years old and have been able to glean from his vast knowledge about all aspects of life. He helped me work through my own health issues, and then through 3 pregnancies, Andrew and I were building our home, and I asked him about every process and what building materials were safe. I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours talking to Dr. Peat about what should I do here? What should I do with this? I asked him every question imaginable about diet and nutrition and what pregnant breastfeeding women should eat and what a baby's first food should be and what my children should be eating, doing, and thinking. I remember asking him what's the best way to promote brain development in young babies and children. And he said, introduce them to new people, get their brains to be surrounded by new things, new sights, new sounds. We have lived and followed Ray Peat's sound advice for our family, our friends, and our clients, and we are so incredibly grateful for his knowledge and care. I couldn't imagine a more humble soul than Raymond Peat, who never stopped giving and enriching the lives of everyone he touched. And on a lighter note, when someone would tell Dr. Peat, "I've been following your diet," he would say, "Oh yeah, what's that?" He thought the idea of a Ray Peat diet was funny. And that's because Ray Peat believed in principles of healthy eating, consuming clean, unadulterated, and relatively unprocessed foods, and avoiding things known to be harmful, such as PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids from vegetable oils, and other thyroid inhibiting and thyroid disrupting foods. A very common phrase Raymond would use when someone told him they had tried something he had recommended is, "Well, how did that make you feel?" Dr. Peat did not want his ideas to be set in stone. He wanted people to take responsibility for their bodies and their health and think about what was going on with their body and experiment. He once told me that he had viewed his own health issues as fun challenges to try and figure out what his body needed. Dr. Peat had a very non-authoritarian approach to helping people and wanted people to use critical thinking and experiment with various things because everybody's body is individual and different from another's. And he wanted them to take responsibility for healing themselves. He wanted to empower people to heal themselves.
Okay, you're listening to Ask Your Herb Doctor on KMUD Galveston 91.1 FM. In the next couple of minutes, we'll get the phone lines open. I think we have a couple of people waiting and seeing a few things come up on the live stream. I just wanted to say that minds like Raymond's are rare sparks of wisdom, illuminating an otherwise shadow world of veiled intents. And we were very fortunate to have known him long before the search on any browser yielded any result for his name back in 2007. It was summer 2008 when we first invited him to join us on Ask Your Herb Doctor, which is our radio show that started in 2004 here at our local community FM radio station, KMUD. We both agreed that the dissemination of truth is vital, and so we continue to have him join us on our monthly program every third Friday of the month for the next 14 years. He continued a selfless agenda of scientific inquiry, which paralleled the likes of Gilbert Ling, Albert St. Georgi, Maywon Ho, Persinger, and other passionate scientific philosophers who failed to be cowed by the controlled narrative supporting ideologies opposed to natural approaches to medicine. We did many shows on the forces behind the veiled intent of the pharmaceutical military industrial complex, once a conspiracist term, but now validated and widely uncloaked, along with the reality that many conspiracies are actually revealed as fact in time, but libeled as such, a recurring dismissive tactic of such authoritarian establishments. I personally feel Ray's greatest vindication was the last 2 years' expose of the ceaseless war on mankind with worldwide coronavirus media pump lies concerning safety and efficacy of what was labeled at the outset as an experimental drug, which he was adamantly opposed to, as a prime example of this military industrial complex and the controlling elite attempts to control populations through this technology and fear. He was a generous giver with his time and very unassuming for someone of such mental prowess, and I always enjoyed the time he spent, and will miss him greatly, but his work will live on. So I think if we've got any callers here lining up, okay, let's take this first caller. Caller, you're on the air. Where are you from?
Yes, I'm from Montreal, Canada.
Cool.
My name is Jean-Philippe. I'm pretty sure a lot of your auditor know my name. I speak French usually, so I'm not sure my English will be very good. So it's pretty a tough time for me. I meet Ray in 99 from a professor I have. And I begin to talk with him by phone every 2 months until then. And I'm pretty devastated about that. It's very tough. I have maybe 5,000 emails exchanged with him. I plan to go in Mexico to see him, to meet him in person in 2013, but my girlfriend I have a daughter. So beautiful princess in the Ray Peat principle. And
Yeah, we have two
that's
children.
it. It's pretty tough. The last interview I heard on the Patrick Temporny on July, I know Ray are not good. I tried to contact him and Catherine, but no one's get me some news. I email him a lot of time and I don't have any news, so it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
And I understand the painful of everyone. He touched so many people. It's a genius. It helped me have a business. I'm a naturopath, so I have 80 clients a week. So I help a lot of people with his philosophy.
Excellent.
Gives me a lot. So
Well, that's how he's
I
going.
appreciate your work. And I never miss a Q&UD interview with you.
Well, thank you. That's excellent what you're doing. It's like everyone else who's actually involved in the practical hands-on seeing patients and dealing with them, that you're doing what you're doing. Good for you. And thanks so much for calling in.
And you know what?
Carry on.
Just 1 second. Yeah. I make by an artist in Montreal a painting of him. And my planning is to offer to him in the month of May 2023. But I don't know if someone know Catherine. It would be a big offer to her this gift. Thank you very much.
You can always take my email address and keep in touch with me, because I'll have some answers for you. It's Andrew, ANDREW at westernbotanicalmedicine.com. So just go ahead and email me anytime and I'll contact you right back, and we'll go from there.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Okay, thank you for your call, and thank you for carrying on Dr. Peat's legacy with your clinic.
Okay, it will continue. That's my mission.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So the number is 707-923-3911. People invited to call in testimonies or anecdotal evidence or anything else that they want to say regarding Dr. Peat and his work. So for the last 14 years or so, we were very, very fortunate to have him on the show, and every third Friday of the month was always a race to the finish to get as much information as we could out to other people. And it's just a brilliant mind, somebody who was just so alive, and mentally his prowess was really very impressive. It's always a pleasure talking to him. Sometimes it was a little difficult, some of the concepts. I'd be the first to admit that it made me unlearn a lot of things I'd been taught during my medical education. And I'd hear a lot of people who have been benefiting from him, and that's all part of this evening's tribute to him, that if people want to call him with any of the subjects that touch them in their talk and their walk with Dr. Peat, then please go ahead and call in.
Yeah, I don't know if many of you were aware that Dr. Peat lived his life in a compromised environment, and making it to 86 was quite an achievement for him. Mm-hmm. So I think that shows that, what he practiced and what he did in his life really extended his lifespan. And he was his own testament to his principles and his ideals.
I know I've heard it's unfortunate, we've never been into social media. I've never have until this point. And that's in terms of posterity, for actually putting down exactly what he said. And that's what the radio shows were always about. It was always about what Dr. Peat had to say, not how somebody else interpreted it or wanted to spin it or create some business from it. But the whole point was, if anybody really knew him well, he'd had quite a few challenges in his background in terms of fluoroscopies as a young person, and other medical treatments perhaps that we're very shunned upon now. And so So I've heard people, and I was going to say commenting, not the haters, but commenting, oh, well, if you only made it to 86, then why were we listening? You know, I was expecting to make it to 110. You know, that kind of thing. It's a real shame that people think like that. But anyway, so I think we have another caller. So let's just give out that number again. It's 707-923-3911. So caller, where are you from?
Hi, Andrew. My name is James. I'm from Arizona. I found your show maybe 10 years ago. I found Dr. Peat's work around 2010, I think. It's Following Intuition. And I've called a couple times. I wanted to share with you how, the benefits that I've gotten. And in February of this year, Dr. Peat just mentioned kind of off the top of his head, he said, both ibuprofen and Tylenol have pro-inflammatory properties.
Right.
And earlier that night, I visited my friend, and she was in Arizona, but she's from Canada, and she was double fisting Tylenol and ibuprofen for her achiness.
Hmm.
So after the show, I sent her a message. I said, aspirin would be safer. And then when I saw her in March, she had just a bottle of Tylenol. And she said after my message arrived, she tried aspirin for a week, and then she said none of this stuff actually worked. And she quit both of them. But that day she had a headache, and so she needed something for her headache. She just taken the Tylenol that day. Well, in March, my niece had a febrile seizure, and I determined that Grandma, my mom, had given her Tylenol right before her seizure. And in April, I called you. I called the show, and the engineer got me in at the end of the show. And Dr. Peat said, yeah, Tylenol is a very serious, basically poisonous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And after the show, I emailed him. When there was something I couldn't figure out for myself, I'd send him an email. And he wrote me back, and he said, Tylenol disrupts the electron transport chain in our mitochondria, creating reactive oxygenation species. And he gave a couple of references in this email, and one of them was about the rise of autism being associated with the replacement of aspirin with Tylenol starting around 1982. And so I really appreciated that insight. And I want to thank both you and Sarah for having Dr. Peat on all these years. And you have a great archive on your website. I guess you're moving it to YouTube.
Yeah.
That's all these old shows.
Yeah.
A lot of the old shows are on westernbotanicalmedicine.com. So Thank you for your efforts and for getting this information out there.
Yeah, we're about keeping it and preserving it just the way he said it. So it'll all be migrating to our YouTube channel, and all of the 2020, 21, and 2022 shows. Just as fast as we can do it. We've fortunately got some great tech help on our side here. So thanks so much for your call. Let me have a couple more callers here. So let's take...
I just want to say one thing about what Dr. Peat said about aspirin, Tylenol, and ibuprofen. Aspirin actually thins the blood, so it's important that you make sure you take it with vitamin K2 when you supplement with aspirin. But also, aspirin thins the blood, and that's part of its health benefits, whereas ibuprofen and Tylenol actually increase your risk of clot. So it's not only is it pro-inflammatory, but that's why it also increases your risk of clotting, and it's very, very dangerous. So if someone's having a heart attack, make sure you give them aspirin, not ibuprofen or Tylenol.
Okay, let's take this next caller. Call away from.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. Away from.
From Portland, Oregon. This is Trevi. Andrew and Sarah, first of all, I just want to say thank you and love to you guys, both your hearts, for dealing with the loss of your friend. And Ray, I met Ray in the 90s, actually the early 90s. And I still have the notes from my first phone call with him about my thyroid. I was a vegan at the time, and everything he was asking me if I was eating was in my refrigerator.
Aww.
And then 7 years or so, he really saved my life. And I'm not metaphorically speaking, he truly did. And he was wonderful. I asked him recently, I said, like, how do you continue to do this, Ray? You know so many things, that how the world, there's lots of corruptness and bad things happening. And I had like, how do you not have that get to you? And he said, well, truthfully, if I could just help one more person, I'm fine with that. And that was really Ray. I mean, over the years, I've spoken to him regularly, a few times a month, sometimes more. And all my friends, he's helped them. He never said, anything except, well, tell them this or try that. And it's just such a loss. And I send lots of love to Catherine, because, he was her lifelong partner. And the other thing is that Ray had such an incredible sense of humor. And
He did.
a lot of my phone calls with him we were just laughing. He would say such funny things. And occasionally I'd get an email from him after a talk where he would be referencing something and make a joke. And I'm just really going to miss that. And Sarah, you were always so wonderful about saying everything on the shows. Okay, Dr. Peat, you do this, and I just loved that.
He kept
shows
trying to
were
teach
just-
me not to put it in a box. That's what I've learned from Dr. P. I want to put everything in a box and organize it. And he has taught me you can't do that in his very non-authoritarian way.
Yes. He over the years of working with him, I'll say, well, you suggested this back in, 2000 or something. And he'll be, yeah, like, but you don't need that now, and he really helped me learn to trust myself.
Exactly.
And to take my temperature, so to speak. But I just really appreciate your shows and your love of Ray. And we have had many conversations about the two of you, and he just really loved you both dearly. So I just want to say thank you for everything.
Oh, thank you for saying that. We loved him dearly, and he will be sorely missed. I've said a part of me is dying now that he's gone, and it's going to be, we formed quite a relationship. It's going to be very, very different going forward. We have to honor his memory and his work and preserve that for generations to come. And I feel very, very strongly about that.
Like the first caller mentioned, the children that he has that have been raised that way. That's exactly what happened with our two children. So very pleased. We always used to send him pictures of them and say.
He actually spoke to me about your children a couple of different times, and referenced like talking to you about making different suggestions and stuff. So I think that was something that made him really happy.
I always told him these are
your life.
These are your progesterone grandchildren.
Here's the thing. I think we put this out maybe a few months back, but we had we see this dentist up in Oregon, and he's a very natural dentist. Doesn't use anything and doesn't take X-rays and stuff. He's really into not having to do that, and he drills without using any lidocaine or any anesthetic. For me, it was a unusual experience, and absolutely no pain. I was amazed. I'm like, well, what have they been doing all this time? Anyway, to cut a long story short, our son was getting
okay, so basically
what they call trays. Okay, there's trays basically for bringing lower jaw, stopping the lower jaw and overbite. It's got a slight overbite like me. Anyway, so he measured. The story is that what I want to share is the value of epigenetics. And this is something we've had many shows with Dr. Peat about. And you can change, folks. You can change. Your environment is very, very predicated on what you will become. So my son, when he measured the palate, the roof of his mouth, he was 32 or 33 millimeters. And my palate is like 24. And
mine is 28.
The genetics that I carry and my wife carries was not passed to him because I was breastfed for about six weeks, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. My mother had some serious problems with lactation, and I was put on formula. And, the diet back then in 1965 wasn't fantastic. And, I don't suppose we were exposed to a lot of the stuff that we are now. But anyway, it was relatively poor. And so, I grew up, and as soon as I found milk, I loved to drink it. But anyway, his palate's a lot bigger. And that is a testament to 4 years or more breastfeeding and all the milk and as much sugar as he wants, and everything that Ray espoused.
And balance. It's always balance.
Yeah.
But what the dentist was saying that was so interesting, Trebby, is that he said he does not see the children's palate larger than the parents. It always gets smaller because of poor diet and poor environment. And he said, this is amazing. Both your children have a palate that's wider than yours and your husband's. Anyhow, Trebby, I don't know if there's anything more you wanted to say, but I'm sorry we were cutting you off there.
I will share one other story besides Ray saving my life a few years back. My husband had gallbladder attacks. And so we had a bad one. I took him to the ER, and they're like, oh, he's got gallstones. We have to take it out. And so I said, no, I'm taking him home. And I brought him home, and I started feeding him sugar and putting progesterone all over him. And I talked to Ray the next day about it. And I said, he's feeling fine now. And Ray said, well, the only thing, you probably should have given him some more sugar than what you did. And he never had a gallbladder attack again. That was like years and years ago. And those were just some of the wonderful things of just, knowing Ray and knowing, like, my husband says, yes, I have my gallbladder thanks to Ray Peat.
Well,
But, just so many wonderful stories. And when I first started working with Ray and he was talking about sugar, I was like so panicked. I was like, I would only eat a quarter of a teaspoon. That was it, because I'd been so programmed that sugar was bad. It took a long time to get over that and go and to realize that it wasn't. And I'm so grateful to Ray.
Yeah, well, we all are.
For all those things.
All right, but thanks so much. Let's keep in touch. Just everyone knows how to reach us.
I will. I send you both lots of love and lots of healing for both of you.
Thank you. Thank you for your call.
Okay, so once again, the number is 707-923-3911. This is KMED Gullible 91.1 FM. Ask Your Herb Doctor. So we have another caller on the air. Caller, you're on the air. Where are you from?
I'm from Freshwater here in Humboldt County.
Okay.
So I'm local.
Yeah.
And my voice is, I've got a cold or something. I just started catching, your guys' show on Mud Radio, probably in the last maybe couple years or so, and it became one of those shows that I really look forward to. And at first, when I heard Dr. Peat talk about things, it ran counter again. Like, I think, Sarah, you mentioned this, and maybe Trevi, who just got off the phone. But I constantly was like, whoa, that's not what I thought. It just surprised me and ran counter to my general beliefs. And I'm kind of a natural, type of person, try to eat okay. And, just constantly surprised. And I'll say, I have a long way to go in terms of understanding, physiology. And, but I just tried to just, soak it in and absorb what I could. And I'm going to get off the air, but I just wanted to say thank you for being there and thank Dr. Ray Peat for being so humble and curious and constantly learning right up to the end. I mean, constantly trying to learn and studying the research papers and all that. So just it was a real can't say how lucky we were to or are to have your show on our local community radio. So thank you guys. Yeah, I feel for your loss. I know you guys even more so than I understood how close you guys were with him.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peat. Okay, KMUD Gabberville 91.1 FM. So anytime now people want to call in, they have any comments or commendation or anecdotal evidence of their own medical improvements. The number's 707-923-3911. Okay, so and I guess while we're waiting for people here, do we want to mention any other topics about what is going to be carried on in terms of Dr. Peat's work and what's going to be forwarded?
Yeah, I do want to announce that Ray Peat's family is working on preserving his published and unpublished works. And please stay tuned. We're going to have a hard time filling Dr. Peat's shoes on this radio show, but I believe we are carrying on with Ask Your Herb Doctor. Yeah. We started in 2004, and we were delighted when Dr. Peat joined us for a couple of shows in 2008, and Andrew and I enjoyed having him on so much. Basically, it became the Dr. Peat Ask Your Herb Doctor show, which we loved, and we felt so privileged and honored to host him on our show. But also, in honor of Ray Peat, a memorial webpage has been set up for everyone who wishes to share kind words and beautiful memories of him. And you can find the link to that memorial webpage on our website, www.westernbotanicalmedicine.com. If you go to the homepage, you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the link to a memorial webpage where you can post your comments and you can express your appreciation and gratitude and read what others have wanted to say about Dr. Peat if they haven't had a chance to call in. So please don't forget to go visit that.
Okay, there's another caller on the air. So caller, you're on the air. Where are you from?
Hi, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Go ahead.
Hi, I want to share that Dr. Peat was truly a huge blessing to the whole world, and I think truly 150 years ahead of his time. And I'd like to share a brief testimonial. I've had a lot of health issues, and I've had the pleasure and absolute blessing of being able to speak with him 4 years ago. I was courageous enough on a whim to send him an email and ask if I could speak with him and ask for advice in certain areas. And his beautiful response was anytime, any topic. And from then moving forward, I had the honor of speaking with him once a week. And I was blown away that he's an even better, generous, humble, kind man in person. And I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity. And the testimonial is, I've had terrible acid reflux damage to my teeth, and I must have had silent acid reflux for several years, and it really escalated when stress was really bad, like before COVID and during COVID. But he helped me turn that around, and I must admit, Sarah gets a lot of credit as well, because it was I was consulting with her, and it was very difficult sometimes for me to understand his recommendations because he's very smart. And so she walked me through, and I consulted with him. And long story short, with nutrition, with lowering stress, with being able to correct the balance in my mouth and swishing with baking soda, thanks to him, I have all of my teeth. And thanks to Sarah, I was able to navigate the dental process and what supplements I should take. And I am forever grateful for Dr. Peat for improving my life dramatically, and I consider him a hero. And can't imagine what my life would be like without him. And I'm forever grateful to Andrew and Sarah for basically sharing his information with the world, having the courage to do so, and being such amazing mentors to people who need to be able to figure out his philosophy, because it is a difficult one. There's a lot of trial and error. And I encourage people to reach out to them if they were in a position, like a desperate position like mine, to turn around my health. And I'd like to share one amazing attribute that I'll never forget about Dr. Peat is just by him listening to you and answering your questions and any questions, he really had a unique ability to make you feel like anything was possible in life, and that you were a constant student and that you could constantly grow and you can always improve your health and your relationships. And he encouraged me to do so in many areas of my life, whether it was strained relationships or health issues, or even my own demeanor as I was when I was very unhealthy, very stressed out and very burdened emotionally and even physiologically. So I'm forever grateful for him, and I want to thank you both, Andrew and Sarah. I hope you continue on with your this amazing purpose and cause in spreading truth to the world.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. That's the plan. We are going to just carry on where he's left, and yeah, as we started out in 2004 and until 2009 when we met him, and now he's gone. We will carry on. Next January will be the beginning of that year's shows, and we'll see which direction all of this goes in terms of both our practice and philosophy, and see what comes. It's definitely a spiritual walk, whichever way you look at it, and I've always maintained that we don't live in a physical world. We very much live in a spiritual world, and if people don't see that, then it's unfortunate that the forces at play in this world that are spiritual are very able and easily deceive people and blind people to the truth of the spiritual world we live in. And I know Dr. Peat had definitely had some, he had his own philosophy for that. I was always kind of talking to him about those kind of things that I won't say he wanted to be pigeonholed, because he didn't, but we live in a very spiritual world. Okay, so I think there is another caller on the air. Caller.
I just wanted to add that I hope that people continue to listen and see the information that's coming out through this channel in the future. And we do have another caller.
Okay,
you,
caller, you're live. Where are you from?
Freebird. I'm from Freebird, and I'm in Shelter Cove. And I just wanted to say I really had a lot of gratitude for Dr. Peat, and I'm so sad about that because he really helped me a lot. He answered questions for people that was exactly what I would have asked. So I just wanted to express my thanks for Dr. Peat, and I hope you guys stay on the air and keep going.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
707-923-3911. I know we've had people, this is a funny thing, I know we've had people from all over the world calling at various times during our history. So I know Eric in Finland is one of those people who would regularly listen, and sometimes he would call in whatever time of day it was there. I don't remember, but and the show is always, I actually asked Kmud, in fact, Sarah, I think you asked Kmud a month or two ago, asked the engineer, and I was always wondering whether this could be calculated, but asked the engineer how many people would listen to the show.
Yeah, and basically the response was that our show from 7 to 8 p.m. on KMUD is a high peak time, and it's a high peak show, and they approximate 100,000 listeners at this time on KMUD. So I was shocked. I had no idea that the audience could be so large.
But yeah, we had people from East Coast, West Coast, other countries. It was always very interesting to hear that that people had been listening that far and wide. I know that people had contact with him from such a large distance, and it was always surprising to hear, because when we first met him in 2008, you couldn't hardly find anything about him. I think YouTube may have just been started, and some of the other kind of tech platforms that were just kind of getting traction.
I know. I remember searching his name when this lady, Sharon Bartu, told me he'd helped cure her from breast cancer and helped cure her daughter's cirrhosis. And I put his name into Google, and the only thing that came up was his webpage. And I thought, okay, well, let's see what he has to say. And I was just blown away. Of course, like Andrew said, we had to unlearn medical dogma that we had been taught and relearn real physiology is basically what I'm going to say. And, you know, we're still going to be in the process of doing that, probably for the rest of our lives.
Okay, well, there is another caller coming in, so let's caller, you're on the air. Where are you from?
Great.
That's you, caller.
Hello.
Hi, I just wanted to call in to express my support and condolences for Dr. Peat. He helped me a lot, and your guys' show has been really amazing. I've learned so much from you guys. I'm so grateful as a medical practitioner myself. Everything I've learned from you guys and from Dr. Peat, and how generous he was with everything.
Where are you from, out of interest?
I'm calling from Hawaii.
Hawaii. Cool.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of time listening to your guys' show and Dr. Peat, and he was just so thorough with his knowledge and so generous.
Mm-hmm.
So grateful that you guys were able to give him such a wonderful platform to share all of his information.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's just getting it out there. And we never had any conception about monetizing it, and it was very much an altruistic thing that we did. And like Sarah said, it's almost the Ask Dr. Peat show. We started the show in 2004, and he came into our lives in 2007, and within a year or two he was a pretty permanent fixture, and I loved it, and I was not at all I didn't have a platform I wanted to shout and scream about, and I was very interested to hear everything he had to say. And he was so humble, and he's so giving, and he would always have an answer. And gosh, I mean, the brain light he had, honestly, it's kind of staggering. He would, and anybody who listens to any of these archives, there's some of the archives. I was going to produce some of the clips just to pop into this show if there was time, and he would have a train of thought that would just be so deep and so massive that after 15 minutes or something like that, he would be back to where he started, and you'd almost forgotten. And when he got back to where he started, you realize that he'd conceptualized this whole thought was about 15 minutes long. And he had such an incredible brain. And wow, if there was any simple way of getting a brain like that, that would be that would be awesome. But yeah, we loved him so much, and he was always prepared just to give his time. And there's many people who have, we've spoken to, or have written, or have been on other podcasts that he's done across the states. Everyone's just again they'll just say, yeah, he was just always happy to speak, and he was never opinionated, and he would never really tell you what to do. That was the other thing about him that was very special.
Yes, I really appreciated too, as a patient of you guys, how you guys reached out to him, and he, got back to you guys and got back to me, and it's just wonderful how much you guys have gleaned from him over the years. So I'm really grateful that you are able to carry on his legacy. I'm sure he would be very happy and proud of you guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for holding this space for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we couldn't do anything about saying anything earlier because last month we were out of town, and of course he was still alive. Last month we couldn't do our show in November, And then in October, KMUD had some public service announcements they needed our time slot for. And in September, he was too unwell to do the show. And the last time he joined our show here in KMUD was in August.
Mhm.
So we're grateful that he joined us in August.
Yeah, it would be wonderful to have any archives of your show available.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, they will all be there.
We're working on getting them up on our website as well as on YouTube for everyone to listen to and be able to.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other clips as well that out of interest. I've got a lot of different clips that are not on our website even that I've got as MP3s. And so that will be part of the process here, this side of the new year and into the new year to get all of those things as MP4s and put them up on YouTube. And it's always been our mission, to make his work his work. We're very happy to consult with people, and everything that we've unlearned and now apply to individual people is something that has changed for us. But his work and his recommendations are definitely something that we've never strayed from. Anyway, okay, thank you very much for your call. There is another person here to add, and let's go to that next person. Caller, you're on the air, and where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Berkeley. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Yeah, this is Lori.
Hi, Laurie.
I just found out when I opened up the call tonight that Ray Peat has taken flight, and I'm just so sad about it. But I first heard about him, I think in 1985. In my 30s, I had fibroids, and I read Dr. John Lee's book.
Yes.
And it must have said in that book that he had gotten his information from Ray Peat.
Yes.
Anyway, I began using progesterone cream, and I never did have, my fibroids shrunk. I never did have pain or difficulty with them, except at first I had heavy bleeding, but then after that they shrunk. And then during that period, I was a preschool teacher, and one of my parents had 2 miscarriages and was incredibly sad about it. And I told her about progesterone cream supporting pregnancy, and she listened to me and used it and had and went on to have 2 wonderful children. So
Wonderful.
that was indirectly a gift to her from Ray Peat as well.
Yes, he's
So
helped a lot.
I just, for years, I haven't, years ago, I sent away for some books and things, but for years, I haven't been following him or you. And I kind of checked back in recently as I'm 73 and beginning to have some aches and pains and things. And I saw his information about aspirin and sugar, and find it kind of amazing and don't really understand it. I certainly want it to be true that aspirin is safe to take.
Yep.
So I'm anyway, I'm going to be calling and making an appointment to talk with you guys,
Sure.
so I can get some more education about that, and hopefully be steered to if there's other material that Ray Peat has written that I can get a hold of. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm so grateful that you're carrying on his work, and I look forward to learning more.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So do we. Thanks so much for your call. We do have a couple of other callers here, so appreciate your call. Thanks so much. Next caller, you're on, and where are you from?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, where are you from?
Oh, hi. I'm calling from Australia.
Go ahead.
That's great. Thank you.
Good. Are you joking, right? No.
No, I'm not joking. I'm calling from Australia. It's sunny. At lunch.
Great. There you go, folks. What a tell
I'm
you.
actually listening with a few friends. We're having coffee at our place. We're listening to it live.
And 17 hours ahead of our time, right?
Yes, yeah. It's Saturday here, but I just wanted to say what I think Ray means historically, and I think our culture today is very, very nihilistic, and Ray to me kind of gave a view of reality that was very meaningful and very empowering to the individual. I see everyone has their own little kind of views of what's going on in the world, but I think people that have kind of taken on Ray's ideas, I think, it's really important that we strengthen these ideas in ourselves and cultivate them and spread them into the culture.
Absolutely.
Just by leading by example.
Yes, definitely.
And I think it's a very meaningful thing. Nutrition. I think Ray said a couple of years ago, I was listening to a podcast, what could be more meaningful than understanding the nature of energy and biology? What could be more important than that?
Yeah.
Because we're finding out more and more that consciousness and morality is very, very connected to the body.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to kind of say anything about that. His kind of fight against nihilism and his fight for a life-affirming culture.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just incidentally, I think we do have another caller on the air, and we've got to sign off at 5 past. But tell me this: how did you get to tune into this show? How did you first find this show, or was it through anybody else?
It was just through random blogs, looking into health when I was at university with friends, kind of online blogs, looking at like bodybuilder blogs.
Yeah.
And everyone was talking about these carrot salads and hormones and sperm counts were falling. And this Ray Peat guy was giving a very, very impressive critique and analysis.
Yeah.
And he kind of became a little bid of a cult figure with me and my friends. And we just kind of became obsessed with him. And then we started searching online for any content, and we'd send each other a text or a message, new Ray Peat videos just out on this website, and people were always scanning new websites, new blogs, new forums, trying to find anything, new articles, new newsletters. They couldn't get enough of his insight. So it was just through the internet somehow we came across Kmart.
Cool.
Yeah, I told him one time, I said, do you know that there's a bunch of bodybuilders following you? And he laughed and he said, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. He was, Ray had very broad shoulders, and he could have been built if he worked out a lot, but
he worked out in front of the computer a lot.
But he was still very fit.
I think some bodybuilders that I've come across thought he was insane how he didn't think you needed to lift as much or exercise as much as some people thought.
Yeah.
And then some of the more intelligent bodybuilders I've met have said, no, actually this guy is right. Like, you don't have to train as hard as people think.
Right.
Just heavy weight, very, not every day or 3 hours a day. It's, his knowledge was just unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for calling in. I've just put a smile on my face to hear somebody from the other side of the planet. Good for you, brother. All right, we got another caller on the line. Let's take this next caller, which will probably be the last one. Where are you from, caller?
Hi, this is Jeff, right on the Mendocino coast, so not too far from you, but I was always impressed with Ray Peat's work, his research. He never was swayed by the commercial flavor of the week and the standard approved research. He always did it on his own and found out what really was going on. And I think a brilliant light has gone out.
Yeah.
But the world's a little darker tonight than it would be, but there is the remnants of the Leonid meteor shower. So maybe Pete's up there riding one. I hope that you guys will take in the future and consider this. Some of the brilliance that he portrayed with and shared with us all in future shows where you have topics that he's covered, and allow him to be a ghost guest, and if his family would be cool with that, because I think he deserves to live beyond his physical life and share his information that he worked so hard and was so generous with.
Yeah.
I heard things on this show, and thank you two for bringing him on, by the way, that I never heard anywhere else. And I thought that he was a really important source of information, a living library of information.
That's right.
And it's a tragic situation that his brilliance is gone. Do you know how many years of wisdom he had, or maybe I can rephrase it as to when he was born? Because he just had so much knowledge.
Yeah, he was born in 1936. And I did want to say one thing about that is he had an incredible brain. He had a very big head,
Yes.
and he was not a super tall man. But I do want to say that he told me he was 4 weeks overdue, and his mother had supplemented with ovary glandular, which is very full of progesterone. And that was how people over the past thousands of years have supplemented with progesterone. They had ovary glandular. And so I think
that's
that
how he did it.
definitely had a big part to play in the size of his brain. But we do have another caller. Thank you
He
so
was
much.
brilliant, even
Caller, where are you from?
Whitethorn, California. Actually, I live right across the street from you, Sharon Anger,
I recognize
and I
your
happen
voice.
to be a family member.
Hi, Mom.
And I don't want. I want to say that this is just a PS for Dr. Peat, that my family has, from Sarah and Andrew and Dr. Peat, have changed dramatically. I would call Dr. Peat a revolutionary in the medical world.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to teach my kids how to shift from the AMA to logic, be very logical. And he had a brain like you've been saying. He could do research like nobody else. He could retain the research, and he could spit out what you needed. He was a revolutionary in the medical world. He changed our lives, and I will never go back to thinking that the doctor's office or the hospital is the only way to be and go to, like my family taught me. I want to know, I think I can know my own body much better than anybody else. And yet Dr. Peat was able to put in that knowledge to give me the shift to become a revolutionary medical person, medical mind. He was amazing. So with that said, God bless you all. Love you, Dr. Peat. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mom.
Okay, so you've been listening to Ask Your Herb Doctor on KMUD Gabberville 91.1 FM. We'll be back in the new year in 2023, third Friday of the month. That's going to be the slot that we've always had, and the one that we're going to keep going on with. And we'll see the direction that we go in on the third Friday of January 2023. Like I said, the westernbotanicalmedicine.com has got links on it now, and we have a YouTube channel, westernbotanicalmedicine.com, or Western Botanical Medicine, sorry, it's youtube.com/Western Botanical Medicine. And to keep in touch, anybody, we've got our email address on the website, etc., etc. And Sarah.
And please don't forget to honor Ray Peat and visit the memorial webpage. You can find the link to the Kudo Board memorial webpage on our website. Please feel free to go there and express your gratitude and your appreciation and share with other friends and colleagues.
Okay, so until the third Friday of next month, my name's Andrew Murray.
My name is Sarah Johannesson Murray. Thank you for tuning in.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.